15% for the oil producing community is too low.
But the support that is needed. And once you get the support, your airline will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Thursday edition of Inside Nigeria. My name is Bode Gbadebo. Today, as usual, we shall be looking at front page stories of some national newspapers, beginning with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership, and as well have a discussion about a trending issue of the day. Without much ado, let's start with Leadership newspaper, Nigeria's most influential newspaper. On the front page of Leadership, party primaries and electoral act, staving off litigations. President Muhammadu Buhari asked Malami, Amechi, Silva, 5 other ministers to go. Party primaries and electoral act 2022, staving off litigations. President Muhammadu Buhari asked Malami, Amechi, Silva, 5 other ministers to go. Nwajuba, Onu, Akpabio resigned from cabinet, others to follow. Uncertainty trails Amechi's resignation. I will consult with Mr. President and my people, says Ngige. And that's on the front page of Leadership this morning. And let's go to our sister publication at the National Economy. What do we have on the National Economy front page? Nigeria may lose vehicle import traffic to Benin, Togo ports. Nigeria may lose vehicle import traffic to Benin Republic, Togo ports, as custom insists on implementation of 15% National Automotive Council levy amid clearing agents' protests. As custom insists on implementation of 15% National Automotive Council levy amid clearing agent protests. That is that on the front page of our sister publication at the National Economy. The third newspaper on our menu this morning, THISDAY newspaper, concerns mount over National Assembly's amendment of Electoral Act to boost Lawan's chances. Concerns mounts over National Assembly's amendment of Electoral Act 2022 to boost Lawan's chances. Of course, Lawan is Senate President Ahmad Lawan. Senior lawyers split on appeal court's voiding of judgment striking down Section 84, subsection 12 of Electoral Act 2022. Despite ruling, appellate courts insist section unconstitutional, breaches Section 42, subsection 1A of 1999 Constitution. That is that on the front page of this day newspaper. The last paper on our menu this morning is the Blueprint newspaper. What do we have on the front page of Blueprint? Action 8, Sislak orders on 2023 quit notice. Buhari's directive to Malami, Amechi, Akpabio, Ngige, others will end impunity. Action 8, Sislak orders on 2023 quit notice. Buhari's directive to Malami, Amechi, Akpabio, Ngige, others will end impunity. Extend order to MDAs. It's long overdue, according to CSO's Jide Ojo, a popular public affairs analyst. Nwajuba resigns since April 29. ONU also complies. I will meet President for clarification, consult my constituents, according to Dr. Chris Ngige, Minister of Labor and Employment. I will double my prayers for you, Dairu Bauchi tells Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. And the last rider to this story says Senate adjourns to June 7 for party primaries. This will allow senators to participate in their political parties' primary elections. And that's that on the front page of Blueprint newspaper. I'll go on a short break. When I come back, I'll be joined by Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst, to get more insights on the president's directive to ministers seeking elective offices to resign their offices. Don't go away.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Welcome back. It's still Inside Nigeria for Thursday morning. I'm being joined by Samaila Musa. Samaila Musa is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst. Good morning, Samaila. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Samaila. Can you hear me? All right. Seems connection to Samaila Musa is not too good. Let's fix that within a couple of seconds, and I'll come back. Don't go away. All right. I'm being also joined by Jide Ojo. Jide Ojo is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Jide, and thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure. Good morning.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. It's good you are joining us. I know you must have seen front pages of national dailies today. The popular story today is the directive by the president to some of his ministers with political ambitions to resign their offices. So I want to have your take on this. Do we need the president to tell them to resign in the first place? Was that necessary?
It was not. It wasn't necessary, and that's why many of us are not impressed that it took the presidential order for these people to quit office. It's so unfortunate that we have a caliber of political elites that always want to always take advantage of the rest of the populace. And I don't blame those recalcitrant ministers and aides. I actually put the blame on the president. Why did I say so? In many of the states, Gbadebo, in many of the states, it is the governors that issued the directive for their commissioners and special advisors and assistants to leave the stage if they have political ambition. And many states did it over a month ago. And everybody was beholden to the president. When will it be the turn of the federal government? And the president was doing as if it's not concerned. In fact, I was on a radio program a couple of days back, and one of the callers said the president has been held hostage by his ministers, that he could not face them. And when you look at the trend of events yesterday that led to him saying that they should resign, it was during the tail end of the FEC meeting, Federal Executive Council meeting, and it was brought to his attention that Emeka Iwajuba, Minister of State for Education, has resigned. He was reported to have asked rhetorically, what are other cabinet members who are nursing political ambitions, what are they doing? Why have they not resigned? So Mr. President was more or less hoping that they will be mature and reasonable enough to know what they should do. And news reporters said that Emeka Wajuba actually resigned on the 28th of April, a day after he obtained the nomination form. Well, whether that was backdated or whether he actually resigned on that day, I felt if he had resigned on April 28th, the next FEC meeting, the announcement should have been made that a minister has resigned. It shouldn't take a whole of 2 weeks plus for us to get to know that Emeka Wajuba has tendered his resignation. So what I think may be happening is that some of these people may actually be backdating their resignation letter to read that they have done this some weeks back. But be that as it may, like you asked me, it shouldn't take presidential order for these people to know that they should leave the stage where the ovation was loudest. They should not have they should not have made us to dissipate energy to ask them to resign or for the president to sack them. Because many of us in the media and civil society have had to be the mouthpiece of government, asking them to resign. Particularly when this issue got to the apex with the CBN governor digging deep and asking the court to protect him from being disqualified from contesting. How could you be a CBN governor and at the same time you are aspiring for the position of the president? That is bringing the office of the central bank governor to disrepute, and there is clear case court of conflict of interest in all of that.
All right, I think, Jide, for me, the president directive yesterday too can be viewed with, I don't know, for me, maybe it wasn't in good faith in the first place, because after that directive, the news came out that Wajuba resigned since April 28th. A Home Minister of the Federal Republic, quitting office, and the public wasn't.
That's why I said there is more to it than meets the eye.
Exactly.
It shouldn't take a whole of more than 2 weeks for a minister to resign, and the public will not know, and he will be carrying on meeting with ASU and still carrying out his official responsibility after his resignation. That should not have taken that. I want to believe that he possibly backdated his resignation letter, or he didn't submit it to the appropriate quarters.
Now, our lead story today, I think it couldn't have been more appropriate and better, staving off litigation. President Buhari asked his ministers to actually resign, those with political ambition. Now, the second question I will ask you is whether we can trust these people with power if they eventually win any of the offices they are looking for. Now, what would be their relationship with the rule of law? These are people having understanding of the position of the law about their ambition and office they are holding, but they have to be prodded to actually quit. And I want to believe if they actually emerge, political leaders eventually in the 2023 election, they will have a bad record regarding the rule of law. What do you think? Whether these people will uphold the rule of law?
Of course, they can't. And you could even see Chris Ngige strutting and saying that he will only resign after consulting with his constituency and the president. What kind of impunity is that? How could you be reviewing the order of the president? So he will go and meet with the president and say, did you say I should go? Or he will go and meet and hold a town hall meeting in, is it Dunukofia or where is he from in Anambra State? He will go and hold town hall meeting and say, Mr. President said I should go. Should I go or should I not go? Does he still think it's in the Senate where you go and meet your constituents on a particular bill and ask them how you should vote? It's rankling. It shows that these people do not believe in rule of law. And upon it is shameful that Minister of Women Affairs, who should actually show leadership and show courage, was also caught in the web. Why did Minister of Women Affairs not resign? He was waiting for the body language of the president, or was waiting on his other colleagues to show the way before he would join. Now we had it on good authority that Godswill Akpabio resigned yesterday evening. The question is, like you rightly pointed out, should they be goaded? Should they be coaxed? Should they be persuaded? Should they be shown the way out? It's so annoying. These people do not believe in rule of law. They are not Democrats. They are just opportunistic people in power. Their VIP status is questionable, because on the face of it, let's even put legality aside. There is something called conflict of interest. You are running for the president, Minister of Transportation, and at the same time, you are spending the state resources to go and consult nationwide. You are using the federal government's vehicles. You are using the personnel of the federal government. You are using the time of the federal government. You are using all the apparatus of the state. And you are waiting on the president to first tell you whether you should go or not. These are opportunistic people in power, I repeat. They are opportunists. They are not Democrats. They don't believe in rule of law. And I don't think we should entrust power to any of these people, particularly any of the cabinet members and political appointees who have to be asked to go. That means on their own, if they were even to be the president, they would do the unthinkable. They would never leave, and they will be using state resources to fight their legal battle. It's so unfortunate. It has exposed us to ridicule, to public ridicule, to continental ridicule, to global ridicule. And like I said on another media platform this morning, when people refer to Nigeria as Banana Republic, these are some of the reasons they will be citing why they believe Nigeria is a banana republic. Why would you, as a public office holder, nobody is grudging you. Nobody is saying don't go for higher office. Nobody is saying don't be president. But at least leave the office. I cited the example on another media platform. Recall that Shiwaju Badebo. Recall that legally speaking, Senator Abdullah Adamu, there's nowhere in the Constitution that says he should resign his elective office after he was in a consensus made the chairman of APC on March 26th. But he threw in the towel, despite the fact that there is no constitutional provision that says he must relinquish his position. But because of conflict of interest, how could you be in Senate for 11 years and you still be keeping your position in Senate and be administering the ruling party? It's just, conflict of interest. And that's why I commend him for resigning his membership of the Senate after becoming the chairman of the Senate committee. We wait to see what the court will say today about the case instituted by Godwin Emefiele, where INEC and Attorney General and Minister of Justice have been invited to come and say why he should not be allowed to run for office despite holding the office of the central bank governor. That is another impunity carries too far. For a central bank governor, in fact, what I learned today in the press is that he has already submitted his nomination form. This is the same nomination form, but this is the same nomination form he claims he didn't ask those people to buy for him, and that at the appropriate time, after seeking divine intervention, he was going to use his own hard-earned money to buy the form if he wanted to. But we learned that he has submitted that presidential nomination form yesterday. There is sheer conflict of interest. You as a central bank governor, you in whose custody sensitive electoral materials are kept, you now decide to go and enroll as member of the ruling party. Since February 2021, this didn't even come to public knowledge until last weekend when the Punch newspaper did an investigative report and discovered that Emefiele is actually a carrying member of APC. And that's why the opposition will not have confidence in Nigeria's electoral process.
All right, Jide, I think you said quite a lot, and you talk about like people describing Nigeria as a banana republic. For me, I'm not surprised because all indicators point to that fact. You mentioned the issue of the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, who denied interest in partisan politics only to approach the court of law to asking the court to compel INEC to allow him to contest while being the central banker. And this action does not surprise me, actually. What surprised me is the silence from the president.
That is why
the next day is for him to ask him to go.
That's why I said it is the president that should be blamed. He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He's an executive president. He does not share power. Everyone, including the vice president, are at his BS. They are all his lieutenants. And he can hire and fire. So even for Emefiele, despite having a tenured office, it should be suspended, just the same way Lamido Sanusi was suspended indefinitely. If the president cannot sack him, according to the CBN Act, he can suspend him and suspend him indefinitely, the same way Ibrahim Magu was suspended indefinitely until he retired a few days ago. He could be suspended so that he doesn't use state resources. Look at impunity. The Alcohol Borrowers Program, who the Rice Farmers Association claimed was a success and for which they were raising money for Emefiele. Many of those who were giving loans under the Alcohol Borrowers Program defaulted in paying back the loan. And these defaulters are the ones that are now buying you form, and you have accepted the form, you have filled it, you have submitted it. What a shame. What a shame. This man should not stay a day longer in office. And I'm expecting the circular of the head of service and the circular from the Secretary to Federal Government or either of them to the effect of those who are actually affected beyond the cabinet members of the president. Who are the other categories of political office holders that were affected? Because, as we speak today, Section 84, subsection 12 has not been removed. It's still a valid law. It's still extant, despite the Court of Appeal ruling yesterday. The Court of Appeal did not say categorically that is no longer, that Section 84:12 is null and void. It said, because said, if he were to interpret, that means it was just by the side, by the way. The main issue in that litigation is the ruling of Justice Evelyn Ayadike has been quashed by the Court of Appeal. So Emefiele cannot rely on that Section 84:12 to stay in office and continue to preside over our treasury while he's using resources to further his political nest.
Yeah, for want of time, I have two more questions for you before I allow you to go. Now, let me go to your constituency, the civil society. Let me see the front page of Blueprint. Let's see what we have on the front page of Blueprint. I think civil societies where you belong, Action Aid, CISLAC, and the rest of them believes that the president directive to ministers will actually end impunity. Let me see if they can show you the front page of Blueprint. Now you have the front page of Blueprint. Action Aid, CISLAC, others on 2023 quick notice. Buhari directive to Malami, Amechi, Akpabio, Ngige, others will end impunity. Do you believe this? Because for me, with that directive comes impunity. A minister, which you cited earlier, Chris Ngige said, well, if you understand that directive, you will have to see the president for more clarification. And the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Emefiele, an APC presidential aspirant is still in office as the Apex banker. So your constituency said this will end impunity. I don't believe so.
You know, in that interview that you are referencing, I also granted that interview yesterday, and my name is also on that among those who were interviewed. The bottom line is that we are watching and waiting whether in truth and indeed on or before 16th, which is on Monday, all these 9 ministers and other political appointees will leave office. Otherwise, the civil society will mobilize to march on their respective ministries until the needful is done. If they fail to put in their resignation letter between now and Monday, hopefully by Tuesday, the civil society organizations, labor, and media will mobilize to march on their office to demand for their removal from office, whether by fire or by force. Because this is a joke taken too far. How could you, as our treasury manager, you wanted to contest for office? Nobody is saying you should not aspire. After all, your colleague and predecessor, Chukwuma Soludo, who was there before you, is today the governor of Anambra State. But he didn't contest that position while he was in the office as CBN governor. We also have the example of Clementine Song, who was former governor of Cross River State. He was once upon a time a CBN governor. How come you, sitting in office, wants to stay put and contest for the presidency so that when you lose on May 31, when you lose, you will now stay back and say, as if business as usual? You cannot eat your cake and have it. That is my own position. These people should not be allowed to eat their cake and have it at the same time. You have to make a choice. Those who have procured forms, who have submitted forms, in fact, let me bring this to your attention and to the attention of our viewers. The guideline for APC, electoral guideline for APC, stated unequivocally that those who want to contest in the primaries must resign 30 days to the primary. So those who are just buying form last week, they have thrown their money into Niger bed, because I will expect that all of this category of people will be screened out during the screening exercise that is commencing today. They should be screened out. You recall that in PDP, out of 18 aspirants, 3 actually were screened out, and only 15 were have their aspiration validated by the screening committee, headed by David Mark. I expect similar thing to happen, because somebody told me reliably yesterday that there are checklists of things that you are expected to attach to your nomination form, including your resignation letter, your last appointment, your tax clearance, your membership of the party, and other things like that, including signing the withdrawal form for the race. You know, that is another controversial one. People are being made to sign their withdrawal form ahead of even the contest. So you ask for it. For me, if the needful is not done between now and Monday, hopefully by next week, later next week, the civil society organization will mobilize to march and demand for the resignation of those who are recalcitrant, who do not want to leave office without push.
All right, finally today, let's examine the crux of the matter before we go. Now, the whole controversy stems from the controversy surrounding this a section of the Electoral Act 2022, Section 84, subsection 12, which mandates political office holders or political appointees who are aspiring to an office to resign their position 30 days before the conduct of primary election. Now, in your own estimation, does this actually this section contradict the relevant section of the Constitution, which also asks public servants to resign 30 days to elections? Is there a contradiction, or is just politicking taking too far?
This is politicking taking too far. You see, there is law and there is convention. There's something called convention, there's something called law. And there is also something called, there are other laws that you also have to bring into the frame. conflict of interest, even in businesses, is not allowed. Recall that Company and Allied Matters Act forbids corporate organizations from donating to the coffers of aspirants or political parties because it amounts to conflict of interest. That's why this former Nigeria Breweries MD was sacked some years ago, around 2007. Remember that MD from Imo State over, what is it called now? Nigeria corporate or something, in which the India Okereke UK, when she was Nigeria Stock Exchange Director General, was also caught in the web. So constitutionally, there are things that are permissible, but what I want you to know is that the president has executive power. Irrespective of what the constitution says, you serve at the pleasure of the president. Today, a president can remove a minister. He can remove a permanent secretary. They are all political appointees. When he removed the Minister of Power and Minister of Agriculture on September 1, 2021, who asked him the reason why he removed them? Did anybody ask him? This one, the president is saying there's conflict of interest here. You want to contest? Go and resign. So those who feel they have entitlement to stay in office till 30 days to election, they should go to court. The cup is full for them. Let them do the honorable thing. There are decencies, there are honor, there are conventions. It's not everything you look from the prism of what does the law say. What does the law? There is an adage in Yoruba that there are certain things that is shameful than stealing. You know that there is a proverb in Yoruba that says there are certain things that are more despicable than stealing. So this is one of them. How can you stay in office as a minister or as a CBN governor or as a permanent secretary or as a director or as a civil servant and be contested? I've seen the legal opinion by the Attorney General, which was circulated by the head of service. And he said, if you are a public servant, a civil servant, you cannot contest election in Nigeria. You can only belong to party. Belonging to a party is not tantamount to your right to contest for political office. And there are different categories of political office holders. And I believe in due course, maybe from today, we will get clarity around who Section 84, Subsection 12 is actually directed at. But be that as it may, like I said, there are certain things that are more despicable than stealing. And this issue of conflict of interest is one of them. And all the affected members of this administration who are aspiring to higher political office should not wait to be enlisted or to be pushed out. Let them do the honorable thing, because the legal interpretation when you are sacked, dismissed, and when you resign are different. When you are dismissed from office, you lose your entitlement. When you are sacked, you lose your entitlement. But sometimes they give you soft landing to resign. And in doing that, it means that you are covered, your entitlements can still be paid to you. So these people should not push their luck too far. Those of them in and out of public service should do the honorable thing, resign, and then they can go in pursuit of their higher political career.
Most thank you, Jide Ojo. DJ Ojo is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst and a TV host. Many thanks to you for joining us this morning, sir.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. And stay safe.
Do enjoy the rest of your day. Jide Ojo is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst and a TV host who join us remotely from a location here in Abuja. Thank you very much. And on that note, we come to the end of Inside Nigeria for this Thursday morning. Make it with us tomorrow for the Friday edition. We are Winifred Obebo. We'll be holding our fort. My name is Odi Gbadibo. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.